we have to recognize the kind of market that we're in. The reason why British Columbia, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec are able to be almost a net zero on their grid is because they have robust hydroelectric and nuclear resources. We do not. We do not have the capacity to build 4 times the size of Churchill Falls in order to be able to replace natural gas. Our competitive advantage is natural gas. We want to be able to abate it to the best available technology. Right now, that's about 65%. I'm told we might be able to get as high as 80%. The federal government wants us to get to 95%. That's, again, also fantastical thinking. We can't ask people today to invest money in building a plant hoping that the technology is going to be available in 2035. We have to do best efforts, and that's what I'm trying to work with the federal government on. And that's why I hope people understand we need to have all sources of power on our grid if we're going to be able to meet the future demand.
I want to talk to you about the feds. The Prime Minister is being sort of widely panned across the prairie provinces for giving Atlantic Canadians, and I hesitate to even talk about it like this, but it is a fact. I mean, the Maritimes, the Atlantic Canadians, for the most part, are getting a break on heating oil. And I don't have to tell you or this audience that Albertans and folks in Saskatchewan and other prairie provinces that largely use natural gas are not getting a break. Your colleague in Saskatchewan, Premier Scott Moe, whether he's rattling his saber or not, says that he's considering not collecting the carbon tax. How is this landing with you, and what measures are you considering? What's been your message to the feds?
I believe we should take Scott Moe seriously. I think he's going to do it. And remember, they've got a crown corporation.
What are the ramifications if they do that?
Well, talk about the unfairness of all of that. I think that obviously the carbon tax regime that they put forward is up in smoke. I mean, you can't go to the Supreme Court and argue we need to have the ability as the federal government to set the base price so that every single Canadian in every single province pays the exact same thing, and then you're playing favorites because you get more votes in Atlantic Canada than you do in Western Canada. It's so transparent. Nor can you say we have to have this tax in place so that we can get people moved away from the highest emitting fuels. Heating oil hits it emits more CO2 than natural gas. So they've blown up the entire architecture and their entire argument for why it is they need a central price. Because here's the point. If the actual truth is that you need to make flexible options on the basis of what the experience is in each province, well, then that sounds pretty much like it should be in provincial jurisdiction, doesn't it? And that was the argument that we made before. And I'm prepared to see if we can put another reference case forward now that they've destroyed their own argument about why they need to have a federal carbon tax, about whether we should revisit that decision of 2021.
You're talking about suing Ottawa. How serious are you about that?
Well, we have a number of cases that we have to take forward. And we just won C-69, which I think puts this entire conversation into a different light, because I think that there is, look, think about the federal government. I mean, the federal government has always had a national fuel tax, but they don't charge a different rate of their fuel tax in British Columbia, Ontario, and Atlantic Canada. That's the reason why they're able to make the argument that, yeah, we should be allowed to do this. You can't have differential rates. It's just not fair. And everybody understands viscerally it's just not fair. So I don't think that they have a leg to stand on. They should just eliminate the tax on all home heating fuel, regardless of the province, regardless of the type, because we shouldn't be punishing consumers in a cold country like ours, where we have 6 months of the year where we need to turn our furnaces on, and most of us are using some kind of hydrocarbon-based fuel. That's just not right.